Hey, everybody, it's David of Strong by Elite. Thanks for tuning in for the next few minutes. I want to talk to you about anxiety and sleep, managing your stress so you can sleep a little bit better. This topic was inspired by a Facebook post that was made by a friend, and I do the air quotes friend because technically we're not friends, we're acquaintances. We've met in person before a couple of times, but we're not necessarily friends, except Facebook just doesn't have a word for acquaintances. Just have to be friends. This is a person who asked, I used to sleep like a log, but lately I've been having trouble sleeping. Very vague, doesn't really point to anything specific. A lot of people were giving him general recommendations: exercise, meditate, yoga, read. Those were, I think, all great recommendations. I gave the longest response with a list of strategies and suggestions that I've used with good results on both myself and my clients. And I would like to share them with you. Again, this is just a conglomeration, a smorgasbord of recommendations. Please do not try to do all of them at once, because if you try to do all of them at once and all of a sudden you start sleeping better, it's going to be hard to narrow down what actually worked. Maybe try to do one at a time and see if it helps you. And of course, this might open the door for further discussions and conversations between you and me. If you have further questions, please shoot them over to me. Now, I will say this is the type of person, based off of the short time that I've known him, who tends to pose questions. It almost seems like attention and sympathy grabbing. He asks these questions and doesn't respond to them. Even though I gave him a nice little list of things he can try, he doesn't really respond. And even people even say, "Oh, you should drink alcohol, get drunk to the point where you pass out." No response. All due respect, I'm not really offended. Just saying that it's really difficult to tell if he tried any of the recommendations put forth by myself or anyone else to see if they help them. However, I am fairly confident some of these recommendations can help you if you have issues managing your stress, your anxiety, and you need to get a little bit more sleep, barring medical conditions. If you have a clinically diagnosed medical problem, you're on a particular medication, or you're under physician supervision, please consult your physician, discuss with your physician if there's anything you can do naturally before you turn to a prescription medication to help you sleep better. These are all natural alternative routes. And things that you can either find in CVS or supplement stores or in your own home or using your own body in your own head. All right. So I'm going to read off my response to him. Okay. He goes, I said, it depends, because, as I mentioned before, this post was very vague. It's really difficult to tell what he was actually suffering from. He didn't specify he was anxious or stressed out or depressed, PTSD, whatever the case is. I said, it depends. What do you think you are suffering from? Is it anxiety? Do you think it's a nutrient deficiency? I think it's really important to be specific about some of these things, especially if you're going to post your question on social media and try to get information from people who may not be certified experts in a particular field. Now, as a personal trainer, I'm not necessarily licensed in sleep therapy. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I'm a registered dietitian. I can give medical nutrition therapy to people using nutrition and food, but I am in no capacity to clinically diagnose somebody with sleep problems. However, moving forward, just to cover as many bases as possible so you can narrow this down. The first one is, if you are suffering from anxiety, maybe try meditation if you haven't done so already. Guided or breathing meditation tend to be effective. It's been shown in research, has a good track record helping relieve anxiety, runny thoughts, depression, sense of worthlessness, relaxation. There are plenty of programs that you can get too. That's the great thing about being in this gilded age of technology. There's a free app called Waking Up by Sam Harris. I usually recommend to my clients who are looking for meditation apps. It's great. It gives you guided meditation, breathing meditation. It also gives you lessons on mindfulness and wokefulness. You can make sure you're focusing on belly and diaphragmatic breathing. I cannot emphasize this enough. Many people engage in what's called intercostal breathing, chest breathing. They not only breathe through their mouth, but they breathe through their lungs and their chest. And yes, while the lung is responsible for air exchange, carbon dioxide, oxygen exchange, it's not actually as effective as your diaphragm as respiration, for respirations, for breathing. You want to breathe through your nose and breathe through your belly. If you look at a newborn baby, you're going to see that they breathe through their belly because that's how we naturally breathe and that's how we naturally relax ourselves. There are two types of nervous system. There's a sympathetic nervous system and then there's a parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is usually engaged when you're in fight or flight mode, when you're in stress response mode. Parasympathetic nervous system is when you're trying to relax and enter a state of calmness. And a great way to do that is belly breathing. If you can, lie on your back, put your feet up on something that's solid, knees at 90 degrees, put your hand on your belly and breathe up through your nose into your belly so your hand goes up and down, engaging your parasympathetic nervous system. Try to do that for 3 to 5 minutes, only focusing on your breath. That is called breathing meditation. Give that a shot. That's my first recommendation. The second one, supplements, powdered magnesium. There's a particular brand that I like called Natural Calm. It is a patented form of fizzy, effervescent magnesium that when you put it in 4 to 6 ounces of lukewarm water, it fizzes up like Alka-Seltzer. For some reason, this particular form of magnesium tends to cross the blood-brain barrier. Magnesium is a neurotransmitter. It's responsible in the conduction of electricity of your neurotransmitters, and for some reason this particular form of magnesium tends to reduce the tonicity of your neurotransmitters, inducing then a sense of calmness and relaxation. It always relaxes me and relaxes a lot of my clients, and to boot, if you have constipation, it can help out with that too. Maybe you can't sleep because you're constipated. GABA, G-A-B-A, gamma aminobutyric acid, has been shown in some research studies. There's weak support showing that people who have post-traumatic stress disorder and thus depression and anxiety tend to have low levels of GABA, GABA. GABA is one of those things, pretty harmless. You can't really overdose on it. But if you feel that you have high levels of anxiety, chronic levels of anxiety, maybe taking GABA may help. Next one, L-lysine. This is an essential amino acid. Essential as opposed to semi-essential and non-essential. Amino acids must be obtained through either food or supplements, and L-lysine is one of those things. And L-lysine, really, you can't overdose on it. If you intake obscene amounts of L-lysine, you might get some diarrhea, you might get a little bit of nausea, you might get a little bit of dizziness, but nothing life-threatening. L-lysine is one of those things that if you're taking in way too much, which for the most part, unless you're supplementing it, you can't, your body's just going to pee it out. Now, L-lysine, research shows that a combination of L-lysine and arginine, well, L-lysine is probably the more predominant one here, has been shown to help alleviate symptoms of anxiety and depression. If you're suffering from anxiety and depression, L-lysine can help. And to boot, L-lysine is really great for your immune system support. L-lysine, L-Y-S-I-N-E. B vitamins for stress management. When you're stressed out, you have high levels of cortisol. One of the first things your body burns through, B vitamins. B vitamins are also what are called cofactors in energy production. Your body needs B vitamins, thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, B12 in order to properly harvest the energy from fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. But also because when you're stressed out, your body tends to deplete B vitamins, which are water-soluble vitamins. It's great to replenish them. The only B vitamins you should be concerned about consuming too much of are folic acid and niacin. You want to be careful about consuming too much. But if you get like a B complex or a B100, they're going to dose them a little bit lower anyway. And you'll find high levels of riboflavin, thiamine, B12, because those are all water soluble. Your body can pass them through the urine. Don't be alarmed if your urine is neon yellow. That's one of the B vitamins, okay? Completely safe. Sleepy Time tea. Maybe you've heard of a company called Celestial Seasonings. This is my favorite Sleepy Time tea. They have various options. They have Sleepy Time Extra, which is a concoction of chamomile and valerian root. They also have Sleepy Time Immune Support, which is vitamin C, echinacea, and chamomile. Then they have regular Sleepy Time tea, which is chamomile. Chamomile has been shown to induce a state of relaxation. If you have ever had chamomile tea, maybe you've experienced the restfulness and the relaxative effects of chamomile Sleepy Time tea. So maybe you can give that a shot. Remember, it's caffeine free. Be careful of high intensity activity. Now, this could be a controversial one because one of the main recommendations on this person's post was exercise. Now, my big rub with exercise, especially high intensity exercise, is if you're not used to it, your body is going to see it as a stress. It's going to try to adapt to it. It's going to engage metabolic processes, engage a bunch of hormones and stress hormones because it detects this new stimulus called exercise that your body sees as a stress. It's a good stress, but it's a stress nonetheless. It might be hard for you to fall asleep if you've never exercised before and you want to start exercising in the evening. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not discouraging you from exercising in the evening. I'm just trying to let you be aware, be mindful of when you exercise, especially if you're new. If you're new to exercise, I would highly recommend starting to exercise in the morning or in the afternoon, far away from bedtime, so your body has a few extra hours to try to adapt to it. High quality CBD oil, this could be a controversial one. It doesn't work for everybody. CBD from hemp has been shown in some research with preliminary evidence, some weak support, that it can help relieve symptoms of anxiety and running thoughts. Again, I think it really depends because not everyone is as sensitive to CBD as other people. There are CBD receptors, cannabinoid receptors in the body. Some people's cannabinoid receptors are more sensitive than others, which allows them to reap the benefits of CBD a little bit more and in lower dosages. Again, you have to try the CBD in order for you to see if it works for you. So CBD. If you have lots of thoughts running through your head, maybe this is a common recommendation you ran into before, jot it down, journal it, unload your thoughts. One thing that can benefit from you unloading your thoughts is if there are things, like let's say, I don't know, unfinished thoughts in your head running around like the LA freeway, putting it down on paper, you can actually visualize and be like, okay, even if I don't think about my thoughts now, they're going to be on paper. I can come back to them later. If you're one of those people who likes to deliberate on thoughts because you're afraid of forgetting about a task or a job or a deadline, then maybe writing it down can help. Next, avoid the media and the news a little bit more. This is a person who's on social media a lot, sharing memes, sharing controversial stuff, things that could possibly get him excited. And if you're unable to get to sleep at an appreciative time because you're mentally wound up, maybe for example, you're following the politics, you're following the global pandemic, and you're getting scared, I think it might be time to step back away from the media and not feed your brain all that stimulus. It really depends. I know I've recommended this to a couple of people. Reduce tech time. Maybe do something a little bit more natural, reading, relaxation, yoga, stretching, breathing, to take your mind off the tech and what's actually buzzing around in the real world for a little while. That might help. Sound nutrition. This might sound like a no-brainer, but I think a lot of people are unaware of how much of an impact nutrition has on sleep quality. For example, if you eat a large meal too close to bedtime, let's say within 2 hours, it's possible that that meal is not going to leave your stomach. It's going to sit there heavy, bother you, maybe even give you heartburn. I have a family history of GERD, G-E-R-D, which is short for gastroesophageal reflux disease. If I eat too heavy, such as foods that are high in fats, and it's going to sit in my stomach, I won't be able to sleep for the next 2 to 3 hours without getting some sort of heartburn or waking up feeling disgusting and acidic and sour. If food is one of those things that, especially heavy foods, that bother you in the evening because it sits heavy in your stomach, you want to reduce the size of your meal. Also, some foods tend to have a bigger impact on your hormones than others. High amounts of carbohydrates can modulate levels of serotonin, can modulate levels of dopamine. If you are a sugar addict, eating sugar in the evening might get you a little bit more excited. It might get you a little bit more anxious or depressed because you go through that emotional roller coaster that's a result of fluctuating blood sugar levels and neurotransmitter levels. So you have to be careful with the nutrition. My recommendation is with the nutrition, try to eat a balanced, solid meal. Make sure you're drinking water with it. Try not to drink too much alcohol because alcohol is depressant and it can screw up your sleep cycle. Research has shown that alcohol knocks you out of your REM sleep. Of course, there are people out there who sleep better on alcohol, and I tend to be one of them. I sleep better on alcohol. That doesn't mean I use alcohol as a crutch to get better sleep, but I notice that when I drink a little bit more than normal, I get better sleep and I actually dream, which is indicative of entering deep sleep cycles. But please don't use that as encouragement to drink. I'm definitely not. So, alcohol is self explanatory. Caffeine has a half life of 6 hours, meaning you want to avoid anything stimulatory. Caffeine that releases adrenaline within 6 hours of bedtime, meaning if you're going to bed at 10 p.m., try not to drink caffeine, after 4 p.m. I think that's a good recommendation. Caffeine could be in the form of black tea, it can be in the form of coffee, and of course, it depends too. Everyone is sensitive to caffeine a little bit differently. I might have a higher tolerance to caffeine than the next person because I usually drink about 16 to 24 ounces of coffee per day, caffeinated coffee per day. So I'm going to have a higher caffeine tolerance or stimulant tolerance than somebody who doesn't drink caffeine. So again, you have to assess your individual tolerance, right? And the last one, try to set things into perspective. As one of Buddhism's core tenets says, life is suffering. If there are a lot of bad things happening in life right now, for example, right now it's March 2020, global pandemic is running through the US right now and causing a stir. It's wreaking havoc on our national economy. People are dying left and right. The healthcare system is being overrun and overwhelmed. We have to set things into perspective. Life is suffering. Life is very difficult. At every which way, life is going to throw us challenges. But despite life throwing us challenges, should we give in to the fear of anxiety, to the fear of depression? Many people might say, yes, well, because what else is there? If we're being self quarantined for weeks, months on end without an end in sight, and our lives are in jeopardy, what's the point? If I lost my job, my family died, what's the point? I don't know if there's necessarily a point. I think the perspective here is you've been given a gift to live. It's your decision if you want to be crippled by fear and anxiety and live a life that, is self-limiting. Of course, I'm not one to talk about a self-limiting life. Lord only knows how many self-limiting beliefs I have and how much I've held myself back in the past. But I think each and every day, through my conversations with my clients, through my friends who continue to inspire me, I'm trying to live a better version each and every day, in spite of life's obstacles. So I think setting things into perspective can be really important. All right, so this is David Strong by Lee. I hope this video was helpful. That was a list of strategies I gave to this quote-unquote friend or an acquaintance. I hope he looks at this. I hope he looks at this video or watches this video or goes through his comments and tries one of the strategies to good results, and I hope you do as well. I hope you've listened it all the way through. I know 18 minutes is kind of a long video. If you're here, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you very much. If you have any comments or feedback, let me know at david@strongbylee.com. All right? Until next time, see you later.